Hello folks, and welcome to what's new in Microsoft 365 and Teams for the 5th to the 19th of June. Let's have a look at what we've got for you. We've got our regular revised timelines, not so many this week. Then we're going to have a look at our 1, 2, 3, 4 main updates. Then we're going to have a quick look at bite-sized updates, quite a few actually to cover off there. And then we've got ones to watch. This is probably the best selection of ones to watch that we've covered off. There's some really nice features in there that you're going to want to know about. So we cover them briefly at the end, and then as they get closer to release, then we'll go into more detail. Then we'll wrap up with how you keep up with 365. But we're going to start off with our first revised updates. So the retirement of the file share embed for Office for the Web, that has been cancelled, so you can carry on using that if you use that. And the ability to join a meeting with a digital code like you can in Zoom and other software, that's been put on hold. So they've had some feedback and they're going to tweak how they manage that. And the ability for organisers to lock meetings, so that's been pushed back until somewhere between the middle of June and late July. So that's an interesting one. So when I was covering it off with one of Inform's clients, we asked the question, when would you use this? And the main use case came up for this feature would be where a training course has got some kind of certification, an internal certification, or it's mandatory in some way, and if someone rocks up halfway through the session, then really they haven't really covered off the material. So a trainer who we were training was saying that would be a great feature for them. So that's one to look out for, coming middle of June to late July. All right, folks, into our first actual update. So you know that you can mention people in Microsoft 365. Now this ability is coming to Microsoft Lists. So when you're working in the comments area, then you can mention somebody, curly sign, and do their name. What's really nice is that it checks whether those people actually have permission to view the thing that you're mentioning them in. So have they got access to that list? And if they haven't, then the notify the dialog box will open up, and then you can add them and give them permissions to there. The recipient then will get this type of notification, which includes the ability, a button that takes them straight to the comment. Doesn't work in Internet Explorer, but not a lot will in the near future. And this is rolling out middle of March to late April 21. That can't be right. Just let's have a quick look at what's going on with that. Okay, back in the room, and that last bullet point has magically updated itself to say that that is going to roll out from the middle to the end of June. Our next one, chat bubbles in Microsoft Teams meetings. These look quite nice actually. Think about when you're in a Teams meeting and you're trying to keep track of what you're watching and what the person's presenting or their feed, and you're also trying to keep track of the comments on the right hand side. This just means that the bubbles will appear they'll be overlaid on the video feed, and will hopefully just bring those chats into the meeting a little bit more. You can see here just a zoom in of this of a chat bubble, and you can see there we've zoomed out a little bit, and you can see how that looks on the main screen, and it hopefully will make the chat more central to the meeting itself. If you want to though, you can turn those off. You click on the ellipsis, on the more actions, and then you go down and you can see there's going to be a new section there called Don't Show Chat Bubbles. And that is due from the middle to late July. Okay, here's the ability to search for a meeting recording based on what was said in the meeting. So previously, you could only search on the title of a meeting, but if a meeting has been recorded and transcribed live during the meeting, and I think there's a default setting coming where if you record a meeting, it automatically does the transcript anyway, but maybe I'll follow up on that next week. And of course, we're talking about the new version of the recordings, and the way stream is going to SharePoint and OneDrive. So these are the conditions. So it's recorded, it was transcribed live during the meeting, and the recording and transcript lives on your OneDrive and SharePoint. Or SharePoint, sorry. Only the attendees of the meeting have got permissions to view the recordings in the results. So if you don't have rights to the recording, then you won't even see it in your results. And that is rolling out at the end of June. It should be done by early July for most of us. now we have the Teams attendance reporting dashboard. So this new reporting dashboard will appear as a tab at the top. So if we look here, we can see we've got the attendance across the tabs across the top, and it provides the attendance information for normal Teams meetings. But if you've set up your meeting where people have to register, so we're talking like a webinar style, then you'll get more information there. So you'll see the registration and the attendance data after the meeting. Now you can view the report without downloading, which is nice. Now it's not on by default, so your organization needs to turn this on. So if you don't see this when we pass the date when you should have it, then it's worth having a word with whoever runs Microsoft 365 in your organization and see whether they can get that turned on for you. And rolling out early June to late August, so quite a long tail on there, quite a big window for that to be rolling out, but that's coming out over the summer. Okay, so onto our bite-sized. So we've got the Immersive Reader coming to mobile. So the Immersive Reader is just a nicer reading experience and a reading experience back to them. If you can get it to read aloud for you. Sorry, for some people it just works well for them. But that's coming to mobile. And if you're not sure what Immersive Reader is, if you hop over to the blog, and I'll include the link in the notes, I've got a link to Immersive Reader there for you. Live transcription with speaker attribution in Microsoft Teams meetings, licensing updates. So those of you who work for big organizations with enterprise licenses and some business licenses as well, you'll be aware that you've had live transcript and speaker attribution, so it tells you who said what and when they said it. Now that's been rolled out to what looked to me like most of the licenses or SKUs for 365. So if you don't have that because of the license that your organization's got, or maybe you've got a very small organization, look out for that. That'll be coming out in July. A new service, scheduler for Microsoft 365. Now, I've seen a couple of comments on this, and on the Windows Weekly podcast, Mary Jo Foley and co. I always forget the other presenters. I always remember Mary Jo's name, but I always forget about the others. I apologise if you're interested in who they are. But they're talking about this on a podcast at the weekend, and it sounds really good. So the system will try to schedule your meetings for you and find that time. And there's a human intervention, I believe. I think that's what they were saying. There's a human intervention, so somebody will behind the scenes will try to get all this hooked up for you and get these meetings. But it's $10 a month per person per month, so which seems like a lot. But I guess if you've got like an executive team who have to meet on a regular basis, and saving them this time, or whoever got to do the scheduling, then maybe it'll pay. But I'm guessing for big organisations, just for their regular staff, like people like us who got to do the day job and not the executives at the top, I'll be surprised how worth it that is. But we'll see. It might be something that actually is worth having. But let's see how that pans out. Anyway, so Stream is getting a new player for video. So this is the new Stream, so they're built on SharePoint version. So let's have a look over here. So here's the old one, and if we just move that along, we see they've got the new one there. And you know what, folks, it's quite subtle, isn't it? So that you can see like the overlay. I don't even know if I've got those the right way around. I hope I have. I think I have. But quite sort of changes. But it's actually what's coming with them. So they look quite similar, but apparently some of the big changes are accessibility and usability. So these changes are more than skin deep. So look out for that somewhere between June and. Next up, we have OneDrive and Lists being able to be installed as progressive web apps. So this is just where you've got, say you've got Edge on your machine and you've got a site. So I think I used this personally with Disney Plus. It worked really well, and it's just easier for my daughter actually on her laptop for me to hook up some of the web services and just add them as apps, so that you can add them to the start menu, and it was just a nice, easier experience for her. But you're able to do this with OneDrive and Lists, and it just works great, folks. Instead of having to go to the site, you can find them in your start menu. But look out for that at some point in July. Next up, we have the ability to sync your lists for improved performance and offline access. So that's coming July to early August, and there's a bit more to that has to do behind the scenes. maybe hop over to the blog and look at that section. OneDrive and Android. So we're getting some choices here with the color tone that we've got. So the different reading modes, with the different levels of blue light. Look out for that June to early July. And this is interesting. I'm not sure who needs to see 98 video feeds in Teams, but I guess it's just nice for, just to be able to flick through them and just page through them if you want to. You can see here in the large gallery, you've got the ability to go from up to 98 feeds. So how useful that will be in reality, I don't know, but maybe it just keeps your audience engaged and is a little bit of fun. Okay, so folks, we've got on to ones to watch, and these tend to be a little bit further out, especially this first one. This is in November, but they're just worth you just being aware of what's coming. If any of your colleagues ask about these type of features, especially if anyone's a bit cranky about Microsoft 365 and Teams and Planner and anything else, it's good for you to know what's coming and maybe just keep them on side if they're thinking about using third-party tools. But let's have a look at this, guys. This is probably the best selection that we've had since we've been doing these. First one, recurring tasks in Microsoft Planner. This is awesome. I've heard this requested so many times, so look out for the ability to set up recurring tasks in Planner from November or so. Whiteboard, so it's getting some improvements, and over on the blog I'll show you some more information about this, but you're just going to get some improvements on what you can do on the screen. And then we've got some updates coming to Apple, so the ability for the sync client, the OneDrive sync client for the new Apple chip, files on demand refresh for macOS, and known folder move for macOS. I don't actually know what that is. I'm not really an Apple person, but if that means something to you, go and look that up, or just sit tight, and as we get nearer the time, I'll share more information about that. Microsoft Stream, the ability for your admin to set a block on download. So this just means that nobody can download or share the video of a meeting unless you're the organizer of the meeting. So that's one to consider if you're concerned about the privacy on your meetings. That's coming out next month. Outlook and Exchange for Business. So the browser extension for Edge, actually, I can't remember what this is, so why don't we hop over and have a quick look. So I'm just going to pull this over here on the blog, and we're going to have a look at this one to watch. Okay, so it brings the power of mail, calendar contacts, tasks using an icon in Microsoft Edge. You can quickly access your Outlook work account or your Outlook.com or Hotmail account without switching to another tab or app. The extension will be available in the Chrome store as well. So I'm not sure what to make of that one. You can see that I haven't done my homework on that, although it's in my presentation. Let's just see how that pans out. I'll probably talk about it near the time when there's a few more details. Are you a Microsoft Teams webinar style meeting user, and do you have Dynamics 365? So it's going to help you to integrate those and just help you follow up and nurture those relationships a little bit. Microsoft Teams, the default for Teams notification style. So this is interesting. If I read this right, what it's going to do is people who are new to Teams in your organization, so if you have a new starter, the default for their notifications is going to be the system, so Windows notification or Mac. I believe that's what I read. So I read it a couple of times, and I think that's what it's saying. But I'll come back to that a bit near the time and expand on it maybe. The whiteboard in Teams and web. So this is not the same as your Windows whiteboard. It's just the lightweight web version that also services in Teams. So you're going to get a slightly nicer interface and make it nicer to use, because the web version is just not as good as the Windows version. Also, you're going to get some new templates, so that instead of you starting from scratch, you can spin up one of those templates and get straight into using it. Another Teams one, and this is the auto recording. So when you're setting up your meeting, you can tell it to auto record right from the start. And of course, folks, you maybe in your invite, you just tell people that it's going to be auto recorded, and if they've got a problem with that, then I guess they don't join the meeting. But it's nice that you can just set that up in advance and get your meeting all sorted out. Outlook, you're going to get the ability to have some rich text formatting in your description toolbar. So I've seen this a few places actually. So Microsoft have adding rich text editor abilities to places where you couldn't have it before. The last one I saw being added was in Microsoft Forms. And actually I've not checked since I last talked about that. So I'll go and see actually whether that's been added to Microsoft Forms. But yeah, so you're going to get some rich editing abilities. So new default settings when opening Microsoft Office files. So this apparently the date next to this is May, and I double checked this, and it definitely does say May. And I didn't see this coming in. I didn't notice it coming in. So Microsoft Teams. So when you click on a file, you can set a default as a user how it's going to be opened. So will it be opened in Teams? Will it be opened on the browser, or will it be opened in the full fat version of the software you got installed on your machine? I quite like that because I've got to be honest, folks. I think 365 is great. All the cloud stuff's great, but for a lot of the stuff that I do, I just prefer it to open in the downloaded version of the software, and I personally would set that as my default. But I didn't see that coming in, so I'm not sure whether I just missed it or the date is wrong on that. But maybe I'll clarify that next week for you. Okay, so fluid components in Teams chat. So this just means that you can add things to your chat in the actual the chat that you're having with your colleagues, and you can all work on that stuff at the same time. So it's not fixed. You don't send it and it's just fixed. You can all work on that thing. So let's say you had a table maybe. So maybe you got a table in there, and then you can all work on that together. So that looks interesting, and that's just going to come out anytime now actually. Microsoft Teams pin chat messages. So you may already be using these in your chat, your Teams channels. So if you got an important message, remember you can click on the ellipsis for the message or for the post, and then you can tell it to pin. And then if anyone goes to the top right hand corner, clicks on the information disk, a little icon up there, and then they'll see those pinned posts. So if something's important, or you want to say an announcement, you want to say something about how it should be used, that works really well. Now that is coming to chats as well, so you can pin a chat to a chat, and I think that's going to be great, especially when you're using chats as like a little micro collaboration area where you've got like a handful of people in there, and you've given it a name, you've got all your files across the top, and you can do that. So I think that's quite a nice little addition. All right, folks. Let me just remind you of this. If you come over to the website, so there's bite-sized things that we covered off, and you can see here there's some more details, and there's ones to watch. If any of those have caught your eye, pop over to the website, and you'll see there's some more information on there. And at the bottom, there's ability for you to post a comment if you want to, or you have a question. Now, folks, keep it up to date. All the usual stuff. You can go over to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube now, then if you subscribe, then you'll get notified next time I do a video, which is almost every week. Give it a thumbs up if you found the video useful, because it makes a big difference to the video getting surfaced and makes it easier for you to find. Now, if you want this delivered to your inbox every week, then you can hop over to that website I was just telling you about, look in the notes for that, and then you can sign up for that. Okay, folks, so quite an interesting week, I think, this week. And that brings us to the end. I want to thank you for watching, especially if you watched right to the end. I do appreciate it. I'll see you next week.